Yeah, I think stuff to do with family overwhelms me quite a bit. You know, worry or stress around family side of things, that does overwhelm me quite a bit. But in terms of, you know, doing the job and things like that, I don't feel too overwhelmed by that. Not now, anyway.
Prince William has officially pressed the dynastic signet ring onto royal wax to break the secret seal of a top-secret decree left behind by the late Queen Elizabeth II. With a single decisive stroke, he delivered a crushing blow to the royal status quo, completely and permanently revoking Queen Camilla's access rights to the late Princess Diana's priceless jewelry vault. A clandestine, deeply covert investigation reveals the chilling truth beneath the surface. Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's biological son, had drowned in insurmountable underground gambling debts to notorious underworld syndicates and resorted to cold-blooded extortion against his own mother. Backed into a desperate dead end, Camilla took a perilous gamble, blackmailing the Royal Librarian, slipping into the subterranean vault under cover of dark to pry away raw diamonds and tearing ledger pages from the registry with her own hands to destroy all traces. However, her shameless act of theft was caught by Princess Catherine through subtle, mechanical scratches and frayed stitching, turning the entire high-security archive into an inescapable trap. Will Camilla be able to maintain her wall of denial when William unseals the second secret decree, exposing a paper trail of past illicit jewel trafficking, alongside the dramatic appearance of Princess Diana's personally appointed attorney? What gruesome fate awaits her gambling son as he is stripped of royal protection and left at the mercy of bloodthirsty loan sharks? And what devastating retribution lies in store for the woman whose true face has been unmasked directly before the throne? The dark, twisting drama that tore through the superficial tranquility of the British royal house did not begin under the grand chandeliers of state ceremonies. Instead, it germinated within the darkest, filthiest underbelly of London's high-stakes hedonism. Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's biological son from her first marriage, consumed by the ambition to leverage the royal family's prestige to feed his insatiable gambling habit, had drifted deeper into the subterranean world of illegal high-stakes betting over recent months. A relentless string of catastrophic losses involving astronomical sums quickly turned him into a high-value target hunted by notorious criminal loan sharks. As his mounting debts expanded far beyond any personal capacity to repay, violent, blood-soaked threats began bombarding his phone with terrifying regularity. Driven into an absolute corner, Tom discarded every shred of aristocratic composure. Bypassing inner security perimeters, he crept into the quiet corridors of Clarence House, making his way directly to Camilla's private quarters. He came bearing not the remorseful pleas of a troubled son, but the brazen, cold-hearted attitude of an extortionist. On Camilla's dressing table, Tom laid down a heavy, ominously thick binder. Inside were crisp photographs documenting illicit financial transactions, covert offshore transfer slips, and sensitive text exchanges exposing how Camilla had secretly siphoned private funds to cover her past lavish personal expenditures. Leaning casually against the closed door, Tom issued a ruthless ultimatum. He declared bluntly that if Camilla failed to secure a massive cash sum within 5 days to clear both principal and compounding interest owed to the mob, the entire dossier would be handed directly to prominent tabloid networks across the United States. International media outlets, he reminded her, were prepared to pay millions of dollars for hard evidence capable of instantly obliterating the regal image she had painstakingly constructed over decades. This merciless extortion from her own flesh and blood landed like a lethal blow, plunging Camilla into a state of suffocating panic and helpless rage. This ruthless ultimatum struck Camilla at her most vulnerable moment. Her personal liquid accounts were utterly drained following a series of lavish spending sprees, and previous secret financial bailouts extended to her biological family. She could not pull a massive sum from official royal funds without triggering immediate alarms within the royal household's strict financial auditing team. Every major monetary transfer required transparent reconciliation, a risk Camilla simply could not take at this critical juncture. Her newly attained status as queen, her public standing, and the very physical survival of her son were hanging by a thread over the edge of an underworld blade. In total desperation, with every legitimate financial avenue slammed shut, Camilla's greed and recklessness turned toward the vault holding the kingdom's most priceless heritage, the personal jewelry vault of the late Princess Diana. Resting deep within the concrete basement of Buckingham Palace, this high-security complex stored diamond tiaras, precious gem necklaces, and an array of personal treasures possessing astronomical commercial value. More importantly, hidden within the collection were large, unlisted diamonds that had never been cataloged in public records or media inventories. Camilla calculated that if she could covertly extract a few raw high-carat diamonds and detach them from their original settings, she could easily liquidate them into cold cash through underground antique brokers. The proceeds would be more than sufficient to wipe out Tom's gambling debts, silence his blackmail threats, and save herself from a ruinous scandal. The ambition to usurp Diana's legacy ignited in her mind, morphing into a calculated plot of theft right at the center of the monarchy. She began silently monitoring every pattern around the archive. Camilla systematically noted guard shift handovers, researched the mechanical lock mechanisms on the vintage security doors, and probed for vulnerabilities among the personnel assigned to guard duty. Every move she made was calculated with cold precision, utterly unbothered by the fact that her actions represented a blatant desecration of the memory of the deceased princess. Unbeknownst to Camilla, her clandestine rendezvous with Tom Parker Bowles and her nervous, restless demeanor during recent royal dinners had not escaped the watchful eyes of Princess Catherine. Armed with sharp intuition and refined elegance, Kate detected the dark traces of financial desperation lurking behind her stepmother's nervous eyes. A quiet yet devastating clash between despicable greed and an unyielding resolve to safeguard family honor had officially begun. Camilla's plot against the jewelry vault instantly reopened, a deep, unhealed wound in Prince William's memory, a shadow tracing back to a dark scandal at Balmoral Castle many years ago. Shortly after Princess Diana's tragic death, while the royal family was engulfed in grief and confusion, Camilla had secretly commissioned a detailed valuation list covering Diana's entire personal jewelry and keepsake collection. She subsequently used deceitful arguments to persuade Queen Elizabeth II to divide the items, seeking to redirect valuable pieces toward her personal estate and biological family. That act of greed and profound disrespect toward his late mother had ignited an enduring anger within Prince William. The Balmoral incident forged an absolute conviction in his mind. Camilla would never abandon her acquisitive nature. For her part, Queen Elizabeth II, possessing profound wisdom and long-term foresight, had also recognized the latent threat in Camilla's greed. To permanently block any future attempts to siphon off or desecrate the late princess's legacy, the Queen had drafted a special protective royal decree. This decree was permanently bound under the dynastic signet ring, the supreme legal emblem of hereditary succession and royal protection. The central clause of the decree was absolute ultimate control, protection, and authority over Princess Diana's entire jewelry vault resided exclusively with Prince William. No individual, regardless of whether they held the title of king or queen, possessed any right to enter, inspect, or tamper with the collection, without William's direct written consent bearing his official seal. Consequently, the moment whispers of Tom Parker Bowles' massive gambling debts began circulating through London's elite circles, William immediately raised security alerts to maximum levels. He understood his stepmother far too well. When pressed against a financial wall, the very first target she would fixate on would be Diana's diamonds. Refusing to allow his adversary room to execute any covert maneuvers, William moved to land a decisive defensive blow right before the assembled family. William formally summoned a private conference in the royal reading room. The tense meeting unfolded around a long oak table in the presence of King Charles, Camilla, and Kate. Skipping all pleasantries or unnecessary gestures, William walked directly to the center of the room. He removed the dynastic signet ring from its velvet case and placed it squarely on the desk before Camilla. Before his stepmother's stunned gaze and King Charles's confused look, William pressed the signet ring down with force, shattering the crimson wax seal, securing Queen Elizabeth II's first decree. William's voice resonated through the room, cold and razor-sharp, as he enunciated every word of the mandate completely and permanently, revoking any and all rights Camilla held to enter, inspect, borrow for display, or interfere with Princess Diana's jewelry vault. On the spot, William demanded that Camilla surrender all duplicate mechanical keys and secondary access codes she had acquired under her title as queen. Camilla turned pale, her fingers trembling, as she was forced to lay the cold metallic keys onto the table. Swallowing deep humiliation, she was forced to watch her authority stripped away by Diana's son directly in front of her husband, the king. King Charles, bound by the supreme authority of the signet ring and his late mother's royal decree, remained completely silent. He could offer no intervention or defense to spare his wife's embarrassment. The official pathway into the subterranean vault had been double-locked by William behind an unbreakable barrier. Yet the bitter defeat at the first decree could not quench the desperation of a woman trapped in a corner. The mob's violent threats against Tom Parker Bowles continued to hang over Camilla's head like a ticking clock. The official door was locked, but a covert criminal break-in plan was already taking shape in the shadows. Barred from all legitimate entry routes, Camilla pivoted toward dark, illegal methods. She realized that entering the vault without setting off mechanical alarm systems required an insider, specifically the person responsible for the vault's day-to-day security. Her target was the Royal Librarian, an elderly gentleman tasked with managing the manual access codes and maintaining the physical ledger logging entries into the secure zone. Camilla ordered a discreet background investigation into the librarian, quickly uncovering a deeply sensitive personal secret from his past. It was a stain capable of destroying his entire pension, professional reputation, and social standing in an instant. Camilla cornered the librarian in a secluded archive alcove. She approached him not as a queen seeking assistance, but as a blackmailer, wielding the secret dossier to crush him. Dropping the file onto his desk, Camilla issued a cold, merciless ultimatum. If he failed to obey her instructions, his secret would be published to the world the following morning. In exchange for her silence, he was required to sign a falsified heritage inventory authorization form and disable the mechanical tracking sensors for a 30-minute window that night. Overwhelmed by panic and faced with immediate ruin, the trembling librarian slumped over his desk and signed the illicit document. Late that evening, a dense, heavy fog settled over London. Under cover of darkness and aided by the compromised librarian, Camilla wrapped herself in a dark hooded cloak to conceal her identity and slipped through the heavy steel door of the underground vault. As her flashlight beam illuminated the velvet trays housing Diana's collection, her eyes flared with unbridled greed. Using a set of precision miniature tools, she hurriedly pried the largest, most valuable diamonds from the mountings of tiaras and multi-strand necklaces. Camilla stuffed the stolen gemstones tightly into a dark cloth sack she had brought along. The entire theft was executed with the frantic, clumsy urgency of a desperate criminal. The moment she exited the vault, Camilla passed the bag of diamonds through a high secondary skylight to Tom Parker Bowles, who was waiting in the shadowy courtyard below. Overjoyed, Tom grabbed the bag and rushed off to deliver the diamonds to mob enforcers to buy his safety and wipe away the bulk of his gambling debt. To ensure her crime left no physical paper trail, Camilla returned to the librarian's desk. She opened the official visitor logbook. Locating the entry bearing her name timestamp and the forged authorization form, Camilla personally tore the pages out from the spine. She crumpled the paper, stuffing the remnants into her cloak pocket to burn later. Threatening the librarian with total ruin if he ever spoke a word, Camilla left, convinced that destroying the log pages permanently broke the chain of evidence linking her to the break-in. Camilla and her son gloated, believing their plan had succeeded, flawlessly resolving the debt crisis while slipping right past William and Kate's oversight systems. However, in her panic-fueled haste, Camilla failed to realize that the jagged paper stubs left along the ledger's binding and the subtle tool scratches left on the velvet trays would become the primary evidence exposing her crime. Camilla's arrogance soon collided with Princess Catherine's relentless vigilance. Just 2 days after the break-in, Kate personally visited the archive vault to conduct an inventory check ahead of a planned historical exhibition. Known for her eye for detail and profound respect for Diana's memory, Kate examined every fixture meticulously. Upon approaching the registry desk and opening the entry ledger, Kate immediately detected a serious anomaly. The leather binding along the spine was torn, the underlying stitching was frayed and broken, and jagged paper edges were visibly exposed. Someone had clearly used force to rip multiple pages out of the recent entry records. Suspecting foul play, Kate proceeded deeper into the secure vault to inspect Princess Diana's jewelry trays directly. Examining the velvet trays under a magnifying glass, she noticed that the light dust layer on the velvet surface had been disturbed and fresh metallic scratches glinted along the setting prongs, unmistakable evidence that diamonds had been hastily pried loose with hand tools. Maintaining complete composure, Kate raised no internal alarm within the palace. Instead, she immediately used her phone to capture high-resolution photos of the torn ledger binding and the gutted jewelry settings, transmitting the evidence directly to William. The two immediately launched a swift, highly confidential investigation. William and Kate retrieved footage from a hidden high-angle surveillance camera. This device had been secretly installed behind an antique oil portrait inside the vault years prior, a technical blind spot that neither the librarian nor Camilla knew existed. The recovered footage documented the crime in vivid detail. Camilla creeping into the vault under cover of a night, using tools to pry diamonds from their settings, stuffing them into a dark bag, and clenching her jaw as she tore pages directly from the ledger at the desk. Every detail of her actions was captured on video. Armed with indisputable proof, William and Kate confronted the Royal Librarian in his private office. William placed the printed video stills and the damaged ledger on the desk. Confronted with undeniable proof and William's stern authority, the old librarian broke down completely. Tearful and consumed by remorse, he confessed to everything. How Camilla had blackmailed him over his personal secret, the forged heritage inventory sheet, and how she had personally gutted the jewelry and destroyed the log pages. The librarian immediately tendered his written resignation and handed William audio recordings of Camilla's threats to secure his own legal standing. With the librarian's signed confession, the surveillance footage, and the damaged ledger in hand, William executed his first technical retaliation. He issued an immediate lockdown order freezing the entire vault system. All manual access codes were invalidated, and the mechanical locks were reinforced with new electronic encryption codes held exclusively by William. The archive was placed under absolute lockdown. Camilla was completely cut off from any further access, while the stolen diamonds had only been partially liquidated. The trap set by William and Kate had closed tight, laying the groundwork for a public unmasking before the entire royal family. The heavy steel door of the secure vault swung shut with a deep resonant thud, completely sealing off the interior from the hallway outside. The trap laid by Prince William and Princess Catherine had officially sprung. Camilla walked into the room, carrying her usual regal demeanor, draped in a rich velvet coat. She believed this was merely a brief administrative meeting to finalize the handover of personal keepsakes, completely unaware that she was stepping into an ambush prepared by William and Kate. As she turned around, Camilla's expression froze when she saw both William and Kate waiting inside. There were no formal greetings or royal deference. Laid out on the center oak table were 3 items of damning proof: the damaged entry ledger with its torn binding, the signed written confession of the Royal Librarian, and a monitor playing the high-definition video recording of her breaking into the vault and extracting the diamonds. Camilla quickly replaced her initial shock with a cold, hardened stance. Experienced in internal royal disputes, she attempted to reclaim her composure. Walking toward the table, she glanced at the items and let out a disdainful smirk. She flatly dismissed all accusations, claiming the damaged ledger and the librarian's statement were nothing more than a fabricated slander scheme designed to ruin her name. She asserted that there was no physical proof connecting her to the missing diamonds, arguing that the librarian was simply attempting to frame the queen to cover up his own administrative failures. Camilla challenged William to take the matter directly to King Charles, confident that as reigning queen, she possessed more than enough influence to deflect suspicion and drag the matter into an inconclusive internal dispute. She remained convinced she maintained leverage as long as no one could locate the physical diamonds passed to Tom Parker Bowles. At that exact moment, Prince William delivered the decisive countermove he had held in reserve for years. Without arguing or raising his voice, William walked to the edge of the desk and pulled the dynastic signet ring from his coat. The metallic signet caught the overhead light. William pressed the ring firmly into the crimson wax seal, securing a second velvet box, the container holding Queen Elizabeth II's final secret decree. The wax seal shattered. William unsealed the second decree directly before Camilla's wavering eyes. The document revealed an absolute legal clause established by the late Queen prior to her passing opening, auditing, or altering Princess Diana's jewelry vault required not only William's primary consent, but also the mandatory written signature and physical presence of a personal attorney designated by Princess Diana herself in the 1990s. Without this attorney serving as an official witness, any extraction or audit of the collection would be legally classified as unlawful theft of estate assets. The heavy velvet curtain in the corner of the room was drawn aside, and Princess Diana's designated legal representative stepped into the light. The sudden appearance of this figure hit Camilla like a physical blow, shattering her remaining composure. Stepping up to the table, the attorney opened a confidential dossier he had quietly compiled over several years under instructions from the late Queen. The file contained explosive evidence Camilla had not only stolen diamonds recently to cover her son's gambling debts, but had also secretly funneled smaller items from Diana's collection onto private European auction markets over previous years. Furthermore, the dossier contained a complete file on Tom Parker Bowles' detailed records of his underground gambling debts, the exact identities of the loan sharks he had contacted, and wiretap recordings proving Tom had blackmailed Camilla to force her into stealing the jewels. Decades of concealed greed, misconduct, and covert theft were exposed in full. Every escape route for the Queen was blocked. Camilla stood paralyzed, her expression collapsing into total humiliation and fear before the airtight evidence assembled against her. Camilla's defeat in the archive did not end with verbal accusations. Prince William offered his stepmother no room to maneuver or negotiate behind closed doors. Armed with the complete evidence file and the authority of the royal signet ring, William delivered a swift series of consequences that crushed any remaining hope of recovery. Stepping forward until he stood just paces from Camilla, William pointed directly at the dossier and video monitors, delivering a quiet warning that carried devastating weight. He stated clearly that Tom Parker Bowles' entire criminal file, including his blackmail activities, illegal gambling debts, asset trafficking, and dealings with loan sharks, would be turned over immediately to law enforcement agencies and leaked directly to the criminal syndicates, hunting Tom down if Camilla ever attempted to interfere with or touch Diana's legacy again. Consequences were enforced against Tom Parker Bowles that very night. Under William's direct orders, all personal allowances, financial stipends, and privileges Tom enjoyed under the royal family's umbrella were permanently revoked. His name was expunged from guest lists for all future public events, official functions, and royal ceremonies. Stripped of all institutional protection, he was cast out as an indebted private citizen. Deprived of his mother's backing, Tom was left entirely exposed to the underworld loan sharks, facing financial ruin, legal prosecution, and constant fear. For Camilla, the terms imposed by William and Kate were even more punishing than financial ruin. She was forced to personally track down and recover every single diamond handed to Tom, using her remaining private savings to buy back the gems from black market antique dealers and return them to Diana's vault. Additionally, all of Camilla's privileges regarding estate management, internal family decisions, and family assets were permanently rescinded. Her access rights to the archive were revoked indefinitely under the authority of the second sealed decree. From that moment on, Camilla's presence within the palace was reduced to a mere figurehead, entirely removed from internal governance and key decision-making processes. Kate personally instituted a strict security protocol monitoring Camilla's daily routine. Every outing, private meeting, and item of personal correspondence involving the Queen was subjected to review by a dedicated security detail reporting directly to William. Camilla was left to spend her remaining years isolated within the palace, stripped of influence and living under constant oversight. William and Kate secured a complete victory, fully safeguarding Princess Diana's sacred legacy. The subterranean vault was resealed under the authority of the dynastic signet ring in the presence of the estate attorney. Justice was fully enforced, establishing a strict new standard of accountability within the royal household. The long conflict over Princess Diana's legacy concluded with an absolute victory for Prince William and Princess Catherine. Those responsible paid a heavy price. Tom Parker Bowles was cast out into debt and relentless underworld pursuit, whilst Queen Camilla was stripped of authority, spending her remaining years in complete isolation under strict surveillance. The dynastic signet ring and the two sealed decrees of the late Queen Elizabeth II fulfilled their purpose, standing as a permanent barrier, protecting Diana's memory and treasures from outside interference. The plot was dismantled, order was restored, and the integrity of the late princess's estate was preserved. Yet behind this victory lay an undeniable reality. The internal rift within the royal family had widened into an unbridgeable divide. While William and Kate successfully protected his mother's legacy, they recognized that preserving the dignity of the throne would require continued vigilance against future challenges ahead. How do you evaluate the decisive, almost ruthless counteroffensive by Prince William and Princess Catherine? Was it a justified act of self-defense to protect Princess Diana's sacred legacy, or an excessively harsh sentence in a battle for royal power? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.